This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. People ask what I do for a living, and I'm actually Walter Trout's pedal guy. I've kind of decided that I think I've been approaching some of this pedalboard stuff wrong. I'm someone who is very comfortable, or more comfortable, I think, in the modelling world, and I recently did a gig with the Pro Reverb and a Fractal VP4, and I felt like I was a little bit more connected with actually playing the music, and I enjoyed the tone so much. If I'm going to keep this analog stuff, I think I need to figure out what I'm doing with it. And I think the problem for me has been I'm someone who's been approaching things from a stacking point of view, and struggling then, because live I always use a clean amp. I say struggling, but just never necessarily being totally happy with where I end up. I feel like I'm maybe stacking things which are doing the same thing twice, or just not doing what I need to do. So in this video I wanted to explore that. I've got an HX Stomp here, so this basically goes to front of house and also runs my delay. But basically the analog gains go into here. That splits off to the front of the amp, but also splits off to front of house in front of the Grammatico, which is like a Dumble clean style. So pedal platform out front, clean amp at the back. Today for this video I'm going to be using a Deluxe Reverb normal channel. So yes, we got the Angry Driver up front. I'll stick this onto the front, stick this onto the floor so we can hear it as we go. Okay, so I've got my basic clean. There's a smidge of reverb that goes up front here. But, so. That's kind of my clean. Then I've got my rhythm here. Chris Butler very kindly sent me this switch, which can switch the Angry Driver. So this would be like my rhythm tone. Okay, and then my lead tone normally would be something like, and this is what I'm not really settled on, something like this. Or this. You see that's got set with fairly low gain, because normally what I'm doing, this is the 5-Watt World bus, I'm on the kind of Dumble inspired side, Keith from 5-Watt World and David Barber's. I think maybe Tube Screamer-esque. So that's all fine and dandy, but kind of then I've got the Carbon X in the middle, which is doing like 2 blues breakers. And I just think I've got too many. I could switch this and have a blues driver into the blues breaker. So the problem, as I see it, is that I've kind of got 3, at least, flavours there, and they don't necessarily blend together all that well, and they don't necessarily stack all that well. And this is what made me think, and when I saw David Barber talking about this, he's like, oftentimes what you want is like your pedal but more, and this is why they come out with this like plus pedal thing. Now I don't have one, but I have a boost pedal, but the basic approach, instead of stacking things to get this amount of gain that I'm looking for sometimes, what about just sticking on a boost pedal? Like, it's an obvious thing, but I just haven't done it. I've always thought that I needed lots of gain flavours and then I could stack them, you get more. But actually what I'm thinking is that just leaves me potentially with a few too many options and not a very cohesive vibe. And then things like maybe this Marshall Governor works really well for rhythm, but also quite well for lead. But when I stack it with the 5-Watt World bus, I'm finding like, is that too much? So let's just try and put on, this is obviously something I need to really then fix in. I'm thinking, right, what are my kind of core sort of tone palette things, and how am I just want to boost those instead of stacking. So I've got my clean. So I could have a boost for clean. Or I've got my blues driver. Or I could have my either side of the carbonet. Or the 5-Watt World bus. really different approach that I think makes a bit more sense than me trying to stack two, well, one higher gain tone. So like the Marshall Governor is where I was getting most of my gain from, and then I'd switch on the bus on a lower gain setting to try and give me that mid push, but I think maybe it was just not gelling as well. Whereas now I think if I'm kind of viewing my rhythm tone as distinct from my, you know, bus pedal and not trying to build those two up together, then I can take the approach that I can have a booster in front for any of the tones if I need more of that. But more importantly, I'm not just building on top of bits and pieces that I don't think weren't building as well. I think I could maybe even remove the Carbon X in this case if I wanted to strip things back even more. But it's a very different approach for me personally, just thinking about, right, I've just got a boost up front for more. Those are going to be two non-negotiables for me going forward, like a volume pedal, so I can really have control. That really does make all the difference. And so then you can set the amp potentially a bit louder, so that you can really push things, so if you need to be heard, but more importantly that you can then dial things back a little bit from there, for that headroom sort of thing. But if you need a bit extra, you've kind of got that there on the volume pedal, and you can just, yeah, really control things a bit better. So that's, I think, going to be my approach going forward. It'll be boost into these drives and then volume pedal on the side. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and how you run your pedal board. Have you got like some tips for folks that are kind of going through the same thing? For me, it's just, yeah, I think I've been stacking things that maybe would be better off not stacked.